ID Selector in CSS3. In CSS, the selector is used to select the elements based on some condition in order to apply the styles to them. Most commonly in the projects, we use three types of selectors. That is tag selector, ID selector, and class selector. But I will explain when to use which one. If you want to select all instances of a particular tag, you have to use tag selector, which is demonstrated in the previous lecture. But in case if you want to select a single instance of a particular tag based on the ID, then we have to use ID selector. That means first we have to give ID. It is just like giving a name for the element. The ID must be unique in the web page. That means you should not give duplicate IDs within the same web page. Then based on the ID, we can select the elements by using the ID selector. Hash is a symbol of ID selector. Alternatively, you can also use class selector if you want to select a few elements. For example, among 10 elements, you want to select 3 or 4 of them which are similar in appearance. Anyways, in this lecture we are going to understand the ID selector only. So hash is the symbol of ID selector. First we have to give ID for the particular tag by using ID attribute in the particular tag. Then you will select the same by using the ID selector, that is hash ID, in CSS. The ID must be unique in the web page, so the ID selector will always select a single instance of the particular tag. Hash is the symbol of ID selector. For example, you want to select the city called Goa. So go to the particular div tag and add ID equal to Goa. And then you have to select the particular element by writing hash Goa. So in our existing application, I would like to apply blue color border for each individual city based on the respective ID. As of now, we are selecting all instances of div tag and applying the red color border for all instances of div tag. So the output looks like this. Now I want to apply a different border for each individual city and each individual season. In order to point to the particular div tag based on the ID, first we have to apply the ID for the particular div, and then we have to use the ID selector in the CSS in order to point to the particular div. For example, if you want to select the city Goa, that particular div should be having an ID so that it will be easy to apply the style for that particular div. So go to the div tag of Goa and we have ID equal to Goa, and in the similar way we have ID for Kochi, Varanasi, Srinagar, and the div tag of Indian climate, and then each season like summer, winter, etc. Now in order to use the ID selector, write hash followed by the ID of the element, that is for example popular destinations. Like this you can apply the ID for any HTML tag, not only for a div, and select the particular HTML tag based on the ID by using ID selector. Now you can notice that the border has been applied only for popular destinations div. And then for Goa, we apply dotted border and margin is 10 pixels. And for the Kochi div, we apply dashed border. For the div tag of Varanasi, we apply ridge border. And for the Srinagar div, we apply groove border. Don't worry, I will explain about the border property and margin property in detail in further lectures in the section called CSS3 box. So as you can see, dotted border for Goa, dashed border for Kochi, ridge border for Varanasi, and a groove border for Srinagar. If you increase the width of the border, then you will notice some difference in the border of groove and ridge. The groove border is something like raised up, and the ridge border is something like pressed down. Now I would like to apply a different border for Indian climate div and for each individual season. So as you can see, the ID is Indian climate, and each inner div is having ID such as summer, winter, etc. So in order to point to this particular div, we are going to write hash Indian climate. So I am pointing to the parent div. For that div, we are applying margin 20 pixels and border is 8 pixels, outset border and orange color. As I told already, I will explain about all border styles in the further lectures, so don't worry about it. So for Indian climate div, the border has been applied. Now for summer, winter, rainy, and for spring seasons, we are applying the margin as 8 pixels and 3 pixels inset border. Repeating the same for all the remaining seasons. Of course, you can also give different borders for each individual season. Now the output looks like this. So in this lecture we have practiced ID selector. In the next lecture we are going to see class selector. And in the latter sections we are going to see all the advanced selectors such as grouping selector, descendant selector, attribute selector, etc.